So our next talk is by the CEO of Easiop, who's also participating in organizing the workshop with us. So I would like to say thank you to Easiop for actually sponsoring our workshop. That's very, very nice of you, and that was very helpful for us to be able to organize the workshop properly. So our next speaker is Emmanuel Walckenaer. So Emmanuel is the CEO of Easiop. So he joined Easiop, as I know, in 2017, leading the company's growth and vision to bring the benefits of automation and natural language generation to enterprise companies globally. He brings over 25 years of international experience in high-tech service and business development. And today we're going to hear from Emmanuel about the exciting work and all these topics and the things that are happening, and Easiop with the talk titled Industry Scale Natural Language Generation, Managing Customer Expectations and Technical Constraints. So Emmanuel, thanks again for
thank you
agreeing to speak to us, and ready when you are.
Yeah, let me try. Well, there's some echo. Let me share. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, I can see that.
Right, in full screen. That fine?
It didn't go full screen yet.
Okay, that's great. All right. So thank you very much, Mo, for your invitation. Very glad to be here. A bit far away from the UK, so I'm in Bogota today, in New York next week, and I would have loved to be, on site with you guys. As you have said, Easiop is, as I will describe, is a very interesting company focused on language AI, and created by Alain Kayser, who is a French mathematician 15 years ago. And I would say, just the CEO, trying to, meet the customer, understand what we can do, and meet their expectation. So in my presentation, I will start to give you a little bit of a customer perspective, their expectation, their challenges, and why we believe AI can be, I would say, an elegant answer to their need. And then I will do, some type of, quote unquote, deep dive. I'm quite impressed to talk to so many intelligent people. So, it will be pretty high level, and, forgive me if I'm not too technical. But I try to give you, an idea of what we try to, how we try to actually meet, through our technology and through the latest AI evolution, how, we try to meet our customer expectation. And then, of course, some, area of collaboration, because we always need help. And, this will be, of course, super useful. So, when we take from a customer's perspective, we're working with many financial departments, in banks, in, large corporation. We're working with rating companies like Moody's, S&P, Fitch, and they have got, thousands of analysts crunching data and trying to make the most of this data to, make a judgment on, the financial stability of the companies they're analyzing. We're working with credit analysts who are as well, analyzing, vast amount of financial data to evaluate, whether the risk have changed. And what strikes me, and specifically for, talking to CFOs and accounting team and controllers team, what they're telling me that, well, number one, and this is not a new, this is not new. Number one, they have more and more constraints, due to regulation, complex reporting, auditabilities now, to be able to have a full scale audit and be able to prove what they have done and why they have made this type of analysis. More and more pressure on timing. I'm not talking about COVID where everything was upside down and they had to react extremely fast, whereas the general business is going faster and faster. And we say, and again, it's not new, it's just accelerating. And the bad news, of course, their CEO is telling those guys, of course, you have to do more regulation, you have to comply to all these rules. Of course, you must work faster, you must give the number, almost real time. But of course, as well, we're not giving you more, more people, just do with the budget you have, which is already, massive. So, and they say, well, so basically what I've seen, in the last 10 to 20 years, the companies have answered that in different ways. Some of them are outsourcing, are going the outsourcing path. I think, okay, we're doing a lot of low complex analysis and so on, and let's outsource that to a low-cost country. And of course, and this is, a very legitimate answer to that, and trying to, tailorize a little bit their work and outsource some of it to low-cost country. Others investing in technology, I would say classic technology, IT, BI tools, and so on. Now, all of these answers, reach their limits, and they are good. I mean, they are good, but they, the impact is 10, 15, 20% of productivity gain, and very soon you reach the limit. And there is a third path, and this has been highlighted here in the slides, by Gartner, by Deloitte, saying, with the evolution of AI, can we actually bring something completely different? Can we make AI to serve these guys so that they can actually completely change the way they are working? I was very interested by, I just heard the conclusion of Claire's speech when she was, okay, guys, we need happy, healthy staff, and of course, diversity is key and so on. This may be another answer. Could AI actually bring happier and healthier staff? And not by replacing this staff, but just through, I would say, an elegant dialogue, through an elegant collaboration between AI and these staff, can we make their life just completely different? And we call that, and these analysts call that the augmented workforce. And what makes me believe that we're in the right way, and this is what we profoundly believe, we can put AI at the service of these financial analysts so that their job can change dramatically. And companies like BNP, Sanofi in the life science space, Oracle, the technology set, are already working like that, are already massively investing in AI, so that they can actually have a profound impact in the way their workers work. And and BNP Paribas, they have thousands of credit analysts leveraging AI so that they can actually make their work in a completely different way, in a much faster way, in a much more elegant way than the traditional way. And I would say, all right, so a few companies have actually started now. I asked my marketing manager, because I've seen this, from Christian Cromie, the next decade we'll see a new breed of organization that is 100 times more disruptive than they are today. So I told him, all right, can you just check that and do a survey in the US just to see whether we're just drinking our own Kool-Aid, or is this something that resonates, in the head of CFOs and financial executives, in the US. So we have sent a survey to 300, people, and actually the vast majority of these CFOs were completely aligned with that. I think it was 67% say, we absolutely believe we need to find a new way to augment our workforce. Otherwise, this is just not going to work. So this is, this is great. Well, this is great. This is, in my opinion, a very profound trend, in the industry. Now, how do you make AI and an analyst work together. And this is why we believe that language is absolutely foundational between the interaction between human and AI. Language is, and we forgot that. But for us, it is absolutely foundational. And this is what, separates companies like EasyUp, or what makes your work, all the people who are working, whether it's in private companies or in research labs, so critical. If we crack that, if we can really elegantly build, a language AI, this is the path to actually bridge the gap between, the machine and the human people. And this is what, this is what makes us, I would say, as a community, completely different. And EasyUp is, a natural language processing AI company, trying to bridge, this gap and trying to bring solutions so that we can actually build this augmented workforce. We can actually build AI solution so that financial analysts, rating analysts, credit analysts can actually make their work completely differently. And we are not just, NLG experts, in order to build this type of solution, we have to be experts in data analysis, machine learning, language technology. So it's a mix and match of different technology we have to actually elegantly integrate so that we can provide this type of solution. And a little bit more in detail, what we have built is the most, what we believe, of course, the most comprehensive NLP artificial intelligence platform. And, based on this, I would say, core platform, we have built verticals. We have built, I would say, ready to go, what we call automation packages, targeting different verticals. And our roots are with the financial services sector. This was the first, segment we have been working on, what we call that AFA, which is augmented financial analyst. But we work as well, on a specific vertical, which would be directly connecting, the data and our solution, our AI, with BI. We have worked as well on a solution so that it can be connected. This is what Oracle is using, so that they can actually leverage our technology within their analytics cloud. And as I said, we do the same type of solution in pharma, in life science, where we analyze clinical data and we actually accelerate the production of the regulatory reports that any pharma company has to produce to introduce a new vaccine. And needless to say that this is super hot at the moment, and that, after COVID, you have massive interest from the life science industry as a whole, because this can be this can have a massive impact. So back to the financial industry, what we try to do and what we have seen is that in today's enterprise, as I said, the challenge is that half of the time of an analyst is actually spent in crunching data. So not adding value, taking the data, crunching the data, and then trying to, make actually an insight based off this data analysis. So, the work of analysis is actually pretty cumbersome. The other thing we're seeing is that there's big silos in information. And this is not only in data silos, but as well knowledge silos, where few experts have the knowledge and others doesn't have it. And this is very important in accounting. I talked to a very large cosmetic company, and I've got 2,000 controllers. And he told me one of our biggest issues is that the analysis between a young controller, a junior controller, and a senior controller is completely different. And this is a big issue for us. We'd love to have, for everybody, at least the first level of high quality analysis. And then on top of that, of course, the action plan and the seniority of the people can actually build, the best way and the best, I would say, go forward based on the analysis they have done. So that's you know, and of course what we have built, and this is as well one of our DNA, that we want this AI be accessible for business users. And this is another big gap we've seen. We want to bridge the knowledge gap, and this is another thing that Claire mentioned, there's a lot of acronyms and so on. We would try to make things simple so that any business user can actually do the configuration himself. And this is, you know, I mean, sounds, you know, easy and, you know, but building a no-code studio is actually something very hard. Is actually quite complex, but is absolutely critical if you want the business users to actually embrace these technologies. And one of our goal and one of our issue we face, you know, we say, you know, yes, the people must be happy, healthy, and they should not be scared about AI. And this is something which is, nobody should underestimate. When I'm telling, you know, a team, okay, guys, know what? Good news. We're bringing this nice, shiny solution so that you can go faster. You know, this is based on AI. They are building knowledge base here, and you know everything will be smoother and so on. Of course, the first thing, even though they don't say anything, the first thing they have in mind, oh my God, they want to replace me. I'm going to be out of job in, you know, in 6 months, 2 years. You know, I know the CEO pushed that. You know, I'm dead. So you have to tell them, well, guys, it's not just to replace you, it's actually for you to master the tool so that you can actually transform the way you're working. And of course, there's a lot of trust there, but you need to bring the tool so that, you know, the people can actually understand what they are doing, completely understand how to do the configuration of this type of solution and move forward, and not let the experts and the technician do that, and being you be just the, stupid guy, you know, running the reports. So this is absolutely critical. So how does it work? So before moving to how does it work, a few constraints. And we have learned that, of course, the hard way. But the number one constraint we have, specifically in the financial system, is, you know, of course, the text must be relevant. If you produce something that doesn't mean anything or is actually incorrect, you know, solution is immediately rejected. You know, how do you want me to trust this AI? You know, they are just saying stupid things. So it has to be perfect. The second one, of the style, it doesn't have to be robotic. And this is, and this is something we are doing survey, you know, when we deploy, you know, this is the largest rating company in the world in New York, and they are doing regular survey to the end, and they say, all right, how is this app doing? Do you like the style? And how would you qualify it? Red, orange, or green? It's true that 2 years ago, you know, I would say a majority of the feedback was red. No, we don't like, and we try to understand. And the guys say, well, you know, the text is not so elegant. It's a bit robotic, so we have to rewrite everything, of course, which is not the purpose. So we say, all right, so we work on that. I will tell you a little bit how. And, having an elegant text, it doesn't have to be, like Victor Hugo or Proust or Faulkner, but it has to be well written. And it has to be diverse as well. Diversity, you know, non-robotic. The third one, I mentioned that already, auditability. You know, you can't just produce an analysis, you can't produce insights if you're not able to trace the data, you know, trace the data on which, you know, your analysis has been based on. So this is just critical. And the last one is data security. And why I mentioned data security is that, we have massive difficulty to get corpus, to get, all the, the data and all the text from our customers, because this is highly sensitive data. And of course, this has an impact on, on how we train our model and machine learning and so on. So that's the constraints. Now, the solution. And that's the workflow, a lot of logos and so on. So if you look at the left side of the screen, this is the report and model configuration. And we have a few tools. We have a few, I would say, bricks or module. The first one, which is a pretty cool one, and you can play with that on our website, is what we call Alex. And this is a pretty nice tool where you can give a report, a customer report sample. The customer say, all right, I just feed the machine with one report, and I analyze and give an analysis of how, what is the level of automation we can accomplish with the solution. And this is a question we have all the time from our customers. Okay, guys, yourself is so new. What can I automate? Is this doable? Is this report automatable? Is this report, and at which level? So you say, guys, self-service, you take your report, you put that to the machine, and we'll give you the answer. It is 90%, or it is 20%, or it is 100% automatable. So, and this is very important so that they can see, and we try to put some explanation, and of course, we can have a much more detailed analysis there. The second one is data. Data is critical, but not only to get the data, and we can cope with, Excel, CSV, XML, JSON, whatever, different database. Now, what is key is to bridge the customer data with our data model. And here as well, we have got some tools based on NLU where we make it simple. We can actually, with drag and drop and with, again, some specific tool, we can actually bridge the customer data with the data model. And once it's done, you're fine. And the last one is the studio. What do you want to say? What type of analysis you want to do? That's what I'm saying. The type of analysis has to be simple, and we make it that simple is that in the studio, again, non-technician can just list, I want to do this type of analysis. If there is this type of pattern, this is weird. Please make me aware of that. I don't want to, if this type of variation or if there is this type of pattern, highlight that in red because, I need to deep dive. So he just lists, what he wants to see in the reports. And then you move, once this is configured, you move to, I would say, the production phase, where the analysts can actually produce, based on customer data, based on their data, they can produce, with one click, they can produce the report. They can regenerate the report. They can ask for more detail, less detail. They can do some deep dive. So it's, as I say, it's really a dialogue between the machine and the analyst so that, within 15 minutes or 30 minutes, if you want to generate many reports, he can have the exact analysis he wants, his analysis. We added some, I talked about the style, so we added some, options where the machine can actually learn the style. Because we ask the analyst, okay, do you like that style? Or you don't like this style? So, and we put some feedback loop so that we can actually, with time, produce actually the style he likes. And I will come back to that. This is very critical. And this can be done on a corporate level or individual level. That the machine will actually not only do the analysis he wants, but with the style he wants, all right? So this is just, the whole workflow. So what type of underlying technology? And this is, clearly a mix of deterministic and non-deterministic AI. Our engine do some, all the data analysis and the business domain knowledge. I told you, have some knowledge base. All that is based on deterministic AI. Same as our analysis module today. And the idea is to leverage, even customer-specific algorithm. So we do have some algorithm that the customer can actually plug his own algorithm. And our NLG, and I will talk a little bit, further on NLG, is as well deterministic. Now we do leverage as well NLU, natural language understanding technology, to support Alex, I said, and other features like the data mapping and machine learning, you know, on the scoring, on the sentence variants and so on. So it's really a blend between deterministic and non-deterministic AI. I would say we are not religious about that, as you will see. We just try to leverage the best technology at that time, and you know, and match our customer requirement. And as you know, there are many evolution in new language model, and we are actually, you know, of course, you know, following that very, very closely. So if I go a little bit further in machine learning components, I say, you know, we're using that and we're leveraging machine learning in automation coverage, I say. We do leverage that as well in data mapping, as I say, you know, very critical to actually match the customer data structure with our own data structure. And we plan and we're working, and well, Dominique and Hugo are part of this conference, are working on document plan induction. It's based on, you know, different model, different customer samples, how to automatically provide, I would say, you know, first configuration of our AI, so that it makes things even faster. And then the analyst can actually modify and fine tune, but at least make it, you know, even more easy for him. All tools we use are based on linguistic analysis, as I say, you know, on publicly available financial documents. So in a way, we pre-train our model on publicly available financial documents. And this is just, you know, the way it is, because we have very restricted access to our customer data. So we have to do pre-processing based on publicly available financial documents. And this is you know, just the way it is, and this is a big concern for us. Now, moving forward, some focus on text generation. The industry as a whole, you know, this is the big issue. The industry as a whole, most of the industry today are based on the solution they are using is based on intelligence or very sophisticated, what I call fill in the blank solution. And it can be very sophisticated, works very well. We have been using this type of solution, you know, a few years ago. And the issue we had is that fill in the blank, you know, may perfectly match customer requirement or specific customer requirement, but are super heavy to maintain. So the team within EasyOp say, well, guys, you know, let's leverage abstract categorical grammars and tree adjoining grammars so that we can have a way more powerful text generation engine. We can be used, we can generate, you know, a vast diversity of sentences while keeping this auditability. And this is why we, you know, we classify that as deterministic, because we keep full control of the auditability. And the way it works, you know, it's, you know, we build and we match the semantic graph versus the data of the customers. Then we build a syntactic representation. And this is all based on ACG and tags. And then, you know, we generate the sentence. And again, this is super powerful. We're very pleased to have leveraged that. This is way easier to maintain. I would say the text which is generated is super elegant, and as well has you know, a vast possibility of variation and so on. So it really match, you know, when I told you, you know, it has to be auditable and it has to be elegant, you know, and this is perfectly fine, you know, with what we have to do today. So, you know, if you want more, I'm sure you have got some people, you know, experts in ACG and tag. But, you know, I mean, what I can tell you is that our customer base, and we are pretty happy about that. Now it's pretty expensive to develop, pretty expensive to deploy. So we have made this investment for financial services. We are, you know, continue to invest in that. I would say one drawback is maybe you cannot reach the fine customization you know some customers do require. This is where the feedback loop can be a nice you know, a nice complement of ACG. But you know, so far we're quite happy about that. Now, like most of us, we have been intrigued and actually quite fascinated by the eruption of these new language models, like you know, GPT-3 and multilingual T5 from Google. And I've seen that, and we saw that, say, oh wow, this is you know, this is pretty disruptive. And what the team told me, you know, what is pretty fascinating here is, of course, these models are, well, I put heavily pre-trained. It's more than heavily; they are massively pre-trained. It's, you know, to a level which is quite unbelievable, and thus allow few shot learnings. So the idea is, wow, you know, can we use that and just, you know, match our customer requirements, leverage these tools? And this is what we actually tested. This is what we have learned. So we have tested GPT-3 for data to text generation. So what we try to you know, try to understand is, okay, based on GPT as it is today, can we actually, you know, use 5 or 10 examples from our customers and actually run the model on data and see whether the output is, you know, the text generation is accurate or not. So it's pretty, you know, I would say, quote unquote, pretty simple. We run that on a hosted version and you know, use that as a public beta. So, you know, so what are the results? What are the outcome? So, well, first, which was pretty impressive, 0 errors. All the sentences were, quote unquote, syntactically perfect. Sounds and great English. 35% were, you know, did exactly represent the input data. And this is what we're looking for. Now, this means that's a 1/3. Now, 2/3 of the output data either had some omissions, you know, some data were omitted, and more, you know, which was, you know, 44% present distortions. I already mentioned distortions. You know, I put that few examples. You know, for the first quarters, 2019 becomes in 2019, which is, well, of course, for, you know, which is well, it's more than a distortion. And or invention, which is, you know, I mean, this famous hallucination, invention, you know, no date become, you know, there's no dates because at the end of fiscal year 2018. So it popped up quite frequently, you know, some bizarre stuff, which are actually incorrect. So, you know, now again, 100% syntax correct, and 1/3 were actually, you know, quite good. And I'm sure this is going to improve. Now, we need to test as well T5. So as such, GTP3, we don't see that as suitable as, you know, do we want to replace, you know, our ACG engine and so on? No, it doesn't, you know, just not ready, or maybe, you know, I don't know if it will be ready, but as such, you know, the answer is clearly no for data to text. Now we're going to do the same quote unquote benchmark with T5 to see whether the results may be actually better. And we still have to as well work on you know, industrialization. Now what we see and what we believe is that, you know, these tools are very impressive, and that definitely, you know, they may be used, you know, in our chain, in our is a natural language generation overall chain. It may be used in combination with, I would say a sound linguistic approach, ACG, domain-specific corpus study, machine learning, it will remain, an hybrid approach. We don't see that as, the magic bullet replacing everything to match, again, our customer constraints. So, we're pretty excited about, these evolutions and working pretty, trying to work pretty hard there to, leverage this new evolution and leverage, these new technologies. As a conclusion, and this is, multidisciplinary approach is for us absolutely fundamental. And this is something I heard, as well, in the last, questions, generating a good financial report is not just correct English. There's writing habits, there is specific vocabulary, there may be some specific analysis that some customers wants to do, and all of that is critical. So, these specific vocabulary and I'm sure you know that, but, Moody's or, rating companies has specific style, which are different from banks. And even in the credit analysis, from one bank to another bank, they do have their own, I would say, secret sauce. They do have their own habits, and this is something we need to take into account. And this is why we need domain-specific corpus and analysis to capture, I would say, these specificities. Now, another big issue we have. I touched base that with, in our assessment of GTB3 or, next assessment of T5, we need methodology and metrics to assess the quality of the system. And definitely you can talk with, EasyOp team, participating to the conference, but what they're telling me that usual methods do not apply. So there are some stuff to invent here. How to define new metrics, how to assess the style, the data fidelity that say, how can we have some sound, solid methodology so that we can compare apple to apple and we can actually progress much faster. This is, at least, and maybe you're not aware of everything, but this is something which is a clear requirement. And, this is where, academic and companies like us collaboration makes lots of sense. And this is why we're super happy to sponsor, this event, because we believe, on our own, we can go so much further. But this type of approach, this type of collaboration can be very key. We can provide you with business case, customer feedback, and you definitely can help us with, your expertise, your methodology, what you have learned. And I absolutely believe that, to really build the best solution, this type of collaboration is the way to go. So thank you together. Let's work together. Thank you very much again for inviting us. Very happy to be here. And hopefully I'm on time and happy to answer any question if you have. So I know there is a panel. Dominique and Hugues will join the panel and answer any question you may have.
Thanks a lot, Emmanuel. That's actually really interesting. And you are well spot on time, to be honest.
All right, good.
This kind of brief of work. So I find it interesting. So the main thing I like in this presentation, when you said providing AI solutions that you can trust, and I think that's really important, is trusting that the result you're getting from the machine or from the AI model is actually something that you can rely on, and that's really something outstanding, to be honest. One question that I have, and it might be just like a curiosity question, is, with all these different experts and all these domain expertise that you've got, how did you manage to work together in such a closely manner to produce such solutions with all the different ideas?
So the one way to answer your question is we have Alain has started the company building, the core of the technology and working very closely with a few customers, namely BNP was one of the very early customers, and they found in love of this technology, and they understood, what they could do with it. And we have built a few solutions like that. I would say bespoke solution. Pretty early on, we have been lucky enough to be selected by Oracle. You have the long RFQ, and they say, well, this is actually the state-of-the-art solution. And yes, guys, we want. So we had some, I would say godfathers, big corporation. Sanofi is another one who say, this can be a game changer for the way we introduce our new drug into the market. And this was 3 years ago. This was completely pre-COVID. So these guys were a bit visionary and say, and we have built Alain and his team and our lab, built the core technology expertise. And then we built these, I would say, domain experts. Now, when I came, and this is a very typical issue, and many AI companies have the same issue. I sat down with Alain and I told him, Alain, we can do, this is a bit of this is almost scary because we can automate anything. And he said, yes, absolutely. And we brainstormed and we came to the conclusion to say, well, if we want to crack the market, we have to actually build a product and we need to make some bets. So, and, you've seen the core technology, and then we selected a few verticals. And we tried, it's always difficult, try to be disciplined and say, all right, let's really focus on these verticals. Let's really build and put the technology to have really an excellent solution. And this is why we picked up, AFA, augmented function analysts, and augmented medical writers, and forget about the rest and say no to customers knocking at our doors. We talked about, I was amazed, when Claire say, oh, we need some reporting on gender, HR or RSC, environmental impact. People knocking at my door, can you do that? I say, yes, but guys, it is not the time. Today we are really focused on these two verticals. To be, in the future, we definitely will leverage partnership, experts in RSC, experts in HR, so that they can actually bring the business knowledge and build their own verticals. And this is certainly the way to go.
It's very exciting stuff, to be honest. So we do have time for questions. If anyone wants to, I'm just going to have a look at the chat. So we've got an applause and a question from Paul Rayson. So he's also organizing the workshop. So Paul says he's wondering, for the purpose of NLP, or NLG, so natural language generation, whether you need to treat your corpus of publicly available documents as one huge block for training purposes, or do you distinguish between different types of financial narratives to train separate models, for example, news press versus whole annual reports or other subparts of reports?
Yeah, we definitely use separate different corpus, because actually how should I say? Well, financial services is actually, you have got many different aspects into that, and definitely different corpus. Now, again, we are a bit starving there. My team is always telling me, we need more. Could you help us to find more? So this is, this is always, a struggle.
Thanks, Emmanuel. We've got another question from Raymond. So another AI company in London. So Raymond asks, he liked the balance between the use of state-of-the-art, for example, GPT, and being pragmatic. So R&D takes time and often costly. How did you and Isiop decide which technology to adopt and which not to?
Well, it's pretty, no, it's not easy, but the constraints we have, and again, you don't have these constraints, if you build a chatbot or if you beat, you may have completely different constraints. In our field, we have some red lines, auditability is one, the what we produce has to be exact is another one. The four constraints, security is another one. So we definitely have these red lines. And as we are a small company, pretty pragmatic, so we just test. And then, and this is why we need to be open to the world, and not only for state-of-the-art solution, but as well, guys say, well, to apply GTP3, doesn't work. Now we definitely can leverage that in our chain in different paths. And potentially this is going to evolve. So we need to be very agile. But the customer, they are pretty harsh because, well, they're pretty, that's, they tell us you no way. And some are a bit contradictory. They say, oh, yes, we believe GTP3 is great. And we say, guys, of course, so do we, but, we have to be a bit careful. They say, oh, yeah, you're right. So anyway, so that's, I think you're not, pretty pragmatic. I think we need to be very open to both new technology and very open how to leverage these technologies. And this is in a way our secret sauce is how to combine elegantly all these technologies so that we can completely fit our customer requirements.
Thanks a lot, Emmanuel. If you don't mind, we have one final question. We don't want to take much of your time. So I've got a question from Natalia. So she says, she was wondering, how did you evaluate grammaticality of the text generated by your product? Did you use humans?
Today, yes. Well, ACG is very powerful. But yes, that's basically, and this is why, I know, and again, Hugues and Dominique can actually certainly answer, I know they're working on, quality and, but this is in the works. This is why I was asking for some help. If we would have a tool, a magic tool, who could tell us, boom, this is perfect, even, in testing and even providing to our customers something more, I would say more automated. This would be the grail for us. This would be a dream.
Appreciate that.
Our solution is close to perfect, but it's not perfect yet.
Perfect enough. All right. Appreciate your time. Thanks a lot, and thanks from our people here.
Thank you.
Your time. And we'll talk to the rest of EasyOp team during the panel. Cheers.
All right. Good luck, guys, and thanks a lot.